Yeah, I ended up going to Sicily. Got to meet you. We did gate time, of course. Everybody
We
stood the
did a
gate.
lot of gate time, didn't we?
In fact, we did a lot of story time. Me and you. Got to know
You and me used to stand watch over like government housing in Campo Rotondo,
That's right.
Mineo, 205 was across the street. And we would stand at these. Now, for the people that don't know, these are United States. You have a military base right smack in the middle of Sicily near the volcano. You have housing developments that are U.S. property that we buy or lease, and they build housing, American-style housing for the dependents. Now, these American-style housings that are satellite housings off of the base, we're responsible for protecting them because they're U.S. soil. So they would dispatch us, a whole, platoon, a whole section of 50 guys would get dispatched in the morning, or if they were working night, you're going to this to watch the gate here. You're going to go do traffic. You're going to go do this. So, I remember a lot of times you and I would end up, and I would try to work with you a lot because, you liked politics and history. And it's hard for me to find someone because, we're in the Navy. We're surrounded by guys that, how much do you bench press? Like, that's like the fucking hardest. That's like, the question they ask each other. It's like, how many beers can you drink? How much can you bench press? So finally I get a guy who's a young guy too, because you're younger. And I'm like, this kid's intelligent. I want to have some conversations with him, and I'm like, put me with him, So I remember that when you and I used to go out to the housings and we used to work. We had a lot of fun.
It was good times. Yeah. Did you ever?
Great time.
We'll talk another time off the record because I'm trying to remember. One time we were in a FAR housing and there was a Puerto Rican American of African descent. Would you ever watch with her? You remember her? She was you'll never. Doesn't matter. But I just thought of it because I think
she was one of us, or was she?
No, she was one of the ones that kind of like you, someone who had kind of transferred over there for a little while.
Oh, okay.
Regardless, I haven't thought about it in 20, some odd years, but it just hit me right now. So anyway, so I did. We stood the gate. We did things like that.
Now, when he says we stood gate, I have to tell you, we would be armed up with a gun. Yep. Okay, 9mm, fully loaded, 45 round. Everything. Three. Magazine in the chamber, one in the pipe. Yep. Fully conditioned one. 2 full magazines, a Beretta, and
M16.
M16s, yeah, we had shotguns, and we would go out there and we would guard the gate. People would come in. We would make sure that there was only U.S. citizens or authorized guests. We would search vehicles for explosives, drugs, you name it. If there was an emergency in that housing, if there was a domestic violence or any kind of emergency, we responded. And our job was to go in there and arrest if need be, but protect the assets and protect the families of the Navy there, the service members and their families.
And we used to call the people that lived there local nationals as far as the Italians. The
LNs, LNs, guys that were local nationals.
And the interesting thing about that, and this is the thing that I think that's really important for your viewers to understand is that you're an American and you're on an American military base, but you're living in a foreign another country.
Yeah. And you walk outside your house, you walk out the front gate, you're in Italy.
You're in straight up Sicily. So it was a really unique thing. And in fact, and I don't want to give too many details away, but there's 2 bases in Sigonella that had a road that was connecting the 2 bases, right? And we had to patrol that. Yeah, we were responsible for that. So when a local national got in an accident with an American, we would respond.
We had to respond.
Responded to a death. That was my first death that I had seen. I was in a local national who had died, and it was pretty intense.
And these are bad traffic accidents we used to respond to because Americans get out on the road and they want to drive like Italians, and they get squashed.
Because they don't have the experience of the Italians. They grew up like that.
Yeah.
Right? And but we were trying to adapt to that, and then sure enough, it would cause a lot of accidents. It was interesting in Italy. Just on a side note,
remember Mike Buki crashed I was in the wreck with Mike Buki.
Yes.
Yeah, coming around, spinning off we almost fell off the fucking cliff going up and down a hill.
Mike Buki is one of my favorite guys in the world. This guy. I worked with him later on after
Yep.
patrol and gate time.
Yeah,
I
he's
did
retired. He's a
physical security.
retired chief.
Yeah,
Retired chief, Mike. Yeah.
yeah, I did physical security with him, and so
Yep.
we were a
Great
physical
guy.
security. Yeah, great guy. We were a physical security division where we'd go out and do building assessments, making sure there was adequate lighting, standoff, hardened target, and stuff like that.
And all that trained you and gave you the skill set to what you're doing now, which we'll get to. But all that stuff you learned in the Navy,
it set the foundation for sure.
Set the foundation.
So Buki would always say he was very loyal to his wife. Let me just tell you that, and whenever a girl, whenever a girl would say something to him, and they're not flirting with him, but he just goes, he'd have to remind himself. And I used to joke around with my wife and do this too, but he'd say, whoa, I'm a married man. And they're
Mike was a good guy.
I'm a married man. I just want to let you know. They're like, so what? Anyway, Mike Buki, great time. So after patrol, after gate, we did. I went into physical security. Did that for a little bit of time, and I said farewell to you. I don't know if you were leaving the island or if I was leaving the island, but
I was leaving.
You go to the hospital, right?
I will. The last you gave me a going away party, and you food poisoned me.
Well, I mean, the point was we gave you a party.
You gave me a party, and I remember showing up. I was about to leave, and I was going my way to canine school.
Yeah,
that's where I got picked to go to be a dog handler, and I was on my way to leave, and they go, "Come on by we're going to barbecue for you. It's going away." And I show up with a lady, a young lady that I was seeing at the time, and I eat some hamburgers off the grill, like one or two, and I go home later that night, and I was staying in the Navy Lodge because I had 3 days left. I had to get checked out, and I'd never been so sick in my life. I had food poisoning, and it was horrible, and I thought, those son of a bitches poisoned me.
It was first of all, I wasn't at the grill. It was probably Tate or Derek Barber, Matt Bill.
One of those guys, yeah.
But the point is that you survived and made you tougher. But we thought about you, and you were kind of like, you were a little older than everybody liked you from every group, but from my crew, you were a little bit older, and we kind of like respected you. We're like, oh, Rob, that kind of.
I'd been in a little longer, and I was, and I, you guys were like the new generation coming in. I was like I was the new generation like 3 years earlier.
Right.
So I kind of knew what it felt like. And now that I got like a crow, a little rank. And I was like, I thought my shit, that I was important. And then these new guys come in, and I'm like, these sons of bitches, they haven't even paid their dues yet.
But we connected, and you accepted us eventually. And so it was all pretty good. So after Italy, I had an opportunity.
Remember the big parties that Johnny Marmo used to throw in his apartment, and he would play the guitar?
Yeah, he was a great dude, class. It's a tragedy what happened to him.
Absolutely. And let me tell my viewers what happened.
Yeah.
We served with a guy named Johnny Marmo. He was and he married a young lady there that we knew. She had came in and she was actually, she was in security. And the next thing you know, her and Johnny hooked up, and she was younger. Johnny was like 25, 26. She was like 19. And she got pregnant, had a baby, and they got married. Okay, we were all happy for Johnny. Johnny used to play the guitar. He used to invite us. He had a nice little apartment in Sicily that he rented, and you'd go out on the roof, and he would play the guitar. And there would be like 30 of us there, and we'd be drinking wine and just having a great time, And Johnny eventually moves with this girl. They get married. Her name was Rebecca, and lo and behold, Rebecca decided she wanted to divorce John and take the baby. And instead of going to court and divorcing him, she convinced her new boyfriend to do a drive-by and kill him. And as Johnny Marmo walked out of his house to go to his job at Port Hueneme, still active duty Navy, still in the Navy, a car pulled up and shot him about 6 or 7 times, and he died. And it was later found out that the wife manipulated her new boyfriend, who was a young kid, into committing this murder. So rest in peace, Johnny, up there.
Johnny was
Now we're talking about him, so he's here.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah, he's one
here.
Just a good dude, similar to you. Really took care of us and stuff like that. The younger guys, and he had this little mustache. Remember?
Yeah, that little mustache. Yeah.
I don't know why he had it.
I know it was horrible. It didn't even have any. It was so like cheesy.
Yeah, but he wanted to,
he loved it. Yeah. Oh, he and I used to argue all the time. He was like, because I would just do things to piss him off because I knew I knew where the buttons were on him, so I would push them, and he would, he would lose his mind. He would
lose his smile. Yeah,
he would lose his cool, Johnny, sometimes, and he would, damn it, he would be like that. Yeah. I still love to get him. I still love to get them riled up,
I think a few things before I move on about Italy and Sicily in particular that was really cool was they were really, I had brothers who joined the service and they served in Iraq and so on, and I always joke that I was in the war of not getting married, right? These girls, they were so into America, they were so into, and they're great people, right? I mean,
they are
the food, beautiful people, and it's just, if you haven't been to Sicily, if you haven't had that experience, I would suggest to do that. But to live there like we did, because I eventually moved out on the economy, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, what an experience! It's like stepping back into time. It was stepping back into time back then, and that was 22 years ago.
I know it was wild. Some funny stories about the people is when I moved over there, they had the lira. Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
And then
we were there when it changed to the euro.
They switched to the euro.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember I got my check and I went to the personnel, and I would get it converted.
Yeah. And
the first time they said no more lira and they converted it to euro, I went to pay my landlord. My landlord thought I was giving her monopoly money. She thought I was bullshitting her. She had to call her husband at work.
What is this?
And yes, and then she got in a car, drove to her husband's work, and then they showed it, and he showed his. You know how the Italians are. When one talks, then he talks to another one. And next thing you know, there's like a traffic accident. There's like 50 people discussing what happened. Like, no, the car came. No, the car came this way. And then the cops kind of getting directed by the crowd because the cops over there aren't like the cops here. You know what I'm saying? No, they're like, so, I mean, it's crazy. But, and then her husband's boss told her, yeah, that's the new money now. It's real. That's our money. The old money's no good.
I got a landlord story and a euro story all together to match you, and that is so when they converted it over to euro, the American dollar was stronger.
Yes, I remember when it opened. Yeah,
so we had a little bit more extra spending power.
A lot.
So when I'd pay my landlord, his name was Giuseppe. I'd pay him in American money sometimes because I couldn't go cambio or whatever and change.
They loved American money. They would love that.
Give me that. Well, then things change over the course of the year or so, and now the euro is more expensive. Now he made some money off of me, by the way. Here $20 here, $20 here, $20 here, and then he goes, Vincenzo, solo euro, solo euro, and I'm like, Giuseppe, I've been paying you with cash this whole year. He goes, solo.
There was something, man.
My favorite word in Italian, there's many, but
va bene?
Va bene's a good one, but is domani.
Domani, tomorrow. Yeah, every time you ask, can I have a plumber come? I'm living out on the economy in my apartment. I want an electrician. I'm telling my landlord. She calls her brother-in-law, who just happens to be an electrician, happens to be a plumber too, and he happens to be a welder. Oh, and he happens to be. I mean, he does everything.
Baker.
And he comes over, and it's like, domani. I'm like, domani again. I need this fixed. Dopo domani, possibly. Like 2 days later, I'm like, 2 days. You guys fucking crazy?
Everything was domani, and then to tie that into the driving, they would drive so fast. And when they got there, they were so relaxed.
Yeah.
Why are you guys in a hurry? You know what I mean?
And it was nothing to see them on the side of the road during Reposo. Remember, everything shut down from like 12 to like 2, 12 to 2, 11 to, like even the bank, the post office between 11 to like 1 or 1:30, 12 to 2, you can't get nothing done. They shut down. They will shut the windows, everything. You'll be sitting down there going, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, well, you're going to wait. Yeah. And you see them at the cafe, and they're having wine. They're having Cafe Correcto, which is which is Sambuca in the espresso. And then they're getting behind, they're driving some big tractor trailer, driving off the friggin' autostrada, driving in. You're like, wasn't that the driver that was just drinking a fucking Moretta, a beer of Moretta at the thing with me and eating a prosciutto sandwich? This guy's driving a tractor trailer and he's fucking drinking. And it's like no fucking big deal.
Remember the sheep? They would call them the geep.
If you hit one of those fucking geeps, it was like a $300 fine. You had to pay the farmer because those things they would shear them and then they would have kids. Yeah, I know. It was like a big thing. You had to yield the right of way to all the sheep and everything. They would come by your car.
Put it in perspective. You're driving your car and you're driving through the back roads of Sicily. All of a sudden, a bunch of geep, we call them, but sheep, they came and just dominated the road. And we would just have to wait. I mean, that's all right. I mean, it's just part of the way life was. But we're literally sitting there as they're hitting the sheep, just kind of hurting them. But it's a unique experience. That whole area, it was very special, and I'm glad we got a chance.
A lot of great. How about all those great restaurants just right off the beaten path? Like you would find these restaurants. It was like, it was like a house. It was like a lady's house, but then behind it was a restaurant. She had like a backyard with tables, and she had a whole thing of chickens and cows, and she would slaughter the fucking chicken and kill the rabbit and bring it right in and just fucking like everything. They had a garden. It was crazy, man. Crazy, delicious stuff.
If you didn't see it yourself, it's hard to believe, right? But you're literally going to your auntie's house, right? And then right there with all the animals there, and then they have a nice little restaurant, and it's good.
Yeah, you are stepping back into time when you go there. That's what I loved about that place. I mean, it was tremendous.
Let me tell you about one of the, and there's so many little restaurants and stuff. So we're at a restaurant, and this is generally speaking, and I think you would agree. Unlike America, where you'd go to a restaurant and they're like, how's everything? Which is fine. That's your job. How's everything? I didn't even take a bite yet, but how's the food? How's everything like that? And that's okay. That's their job. But in Sicily, we own that table. They didn't care. We could stay there all night. Mm-hmm. And then they bring the water and the bread, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, they knew they were going to make money. We had money, and we spent it.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't want tips, but we left tips. We took care of them. That was our table, and that kind of feeling, I've never felt that anywhere else, is where that was our table. That was it. They didn't bother us, right?
They knew for the Americans, they always had it.
What?
No, for the Americans, they tables they knew that we spent money.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun, and then they had those bars right across from one of the naval bases, right? I don't know if it was NAS 1 or NAS 2, but Naval Air Station, as it stands for.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the guys, and of course the master at arms, we got to go over there and drag them out and everything. And a lot of fun, man. A lot of good memories.